Did you know that the first known use of coffee was back in 9th century Ethiopia? They would take coffee cherries and coffee beans and roll them up in these little balls with animal fat, eat them. They would be these really calorically dense food balls. So the first known brewing method wasn't until about the 1500s. It was called Turkish coffee, and that is still technically around today. But coffee filters haven't even been invented yet, and it will be that way for several centuries. So the only way to drink coffee consisted of still having the grounds in your drink. By the 18th century, coffee was very popular, but it was only available to the super wealthy elite. It was not accessible. The espresso machine wasn't invented until the early 1900s, lattes in the 1950s, and iced lattes in the 1990s. I say all that to say, if you are someone who is concerned with doing coffee the traditional way, then I would suggest that you try the Ethiopian food balls, because that is the first way of doing things. So, of course, my point is the traditional way, or the first way of doing something, is not the only way or the best way. Innovation is okay, and something is not bad or disrespectful just because it's new or trendy. So, my name is Chloe, and if you don't know, I am one of the owners of Farmer's Daughter Coffee Company. And today I'm going to be talking about traditional coffee drinks versus their trendier counterparts. The coffee world gets pretty heated about ways to do certain things, and people suggest that if you're wanting a certain drink, you shouldn't even go into a small local coffee shop, because small local coffee shops are only capable of doing things the traditional way. Coffee is an art, it's a craft, and it should be respected. There is a lot of skill that is required, and baristas and coffee shop owners need to be knowledgeable, and they should know traditional ways of doing things. But they should not have to be limited to only doing that, because, again, innovation is okay. I personally am in a small town in eastern Kentucky. I would not be able to keep the lights on if I only did things the traditional way. My point is not to prove that I know more about coffee than anybody else in the Flatwoods, Kentucky area. My point is to serve them a good product. And quite frankly, this is my career, and so I am also very much trying to pay the bills and take care of my family in doing this. So the first drink that I'm going to talk about is the macchiato. So a traditional macchiato is a very small drink similar to a cortado that I talked about in my last video. So you're going to do espresso and then a dollop of milk foam. And they say that like the easiest, best way to do this is just to scoop out some foam with a spoon and put it on top. It's very small, it's very strong, and it has its place. It's not bad, there's nothing wrong with it. But most people don't want that. I mentioned this in my last video, but I have never encountered somebody that wanted this drink. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, and a lot of it is due to the area in which I live in. So the next way is the caramel macchiato, which was invented by Starbucks. So it's going to have vanilla and milk, and we're going to pretend I put vanilla in it. You're going to have milk, ice. Also, I love ice. I want a ton of ice in my ice drink. So caramel drizzle and espresso on top. So it's going to be layered, it's going to sit on top, and it's going to be pretty. The argument a lot of people want to make is that macchiato in Italian means stained or marked. And I get it. The milk is staining or marking the espresso. But technically, the latte macchiato or the caramel macchiato way of doing it is still marked or stained. You're just going to stain or mark your milk with espresso instead of the other way around. A lot of people in other small local coffee shops will say, why not just get an iced vanilla latte with caramel drizzle? It's the same thing, and I don't care to make you that. And that's fine, but I don't think it would hurt you to just make it like this. If you have milk, ice, and espresso, you have the capability of doing that. You just don't want to. And if it's what the customer wants, it doesn't matter what you think about it. You don't have to buy anything extra. Fine, if you don't have the stuff to do it, but you probably do. I get it. Coffee is a craft and it's an art, and you're proud of your skill and your knowledge and what you know, and so you want to do it correctly. But by that same logic, iced lattes, like I mentioned earlier, did not come around until the 1990s. And you know who made them popular? Starbucks. Do you know what most or all of American coffee shops, even small local coffee shops, sell without issue? Iced lattes. I'm not trying to be salty. I understand that all of this debate comes from passion and love for the craft, but you're excluding people where you don't have to. All those things being said, if you really do not want to serve a Starbucks version of a macchiato, if your boss doesn't want to let you serve an iced latte macchiato, that's fine. I think as long as you're respectful and kind about it and you try to offer them an alternative that they would like, it's okay. But I don't think that there's any use in being snarky or pretentious about it, because it's not that big of a deal. It's just a newer drink. It's no shade to the old one. It's just a newer drink that is more popular in America today. I think we can all agree that coffee is about community. It is about bringing people together to try our craft and our art. And I get it. We roast really good coffee. And it seems a shame to let that be masked by lots of flavors and drizzles and all that stuff. It doesn't matter how good the coffee is if the customer themselves does not like straight up coffee with no sugar or less sugar. If that's not what their palate is, it doesn't matter. I saw a quote a few days ago that said that in the coffee world, we're trying to appeal to the 1% of palates, and in turn, we're excluding the other 99%. And I don't think that's how we should be. Coffee is not meant to be exclusive. I don't want to go back to how it was in the 18th century where only the wealthy elite could drink coffee, or to draw a comparison, only the people who really like just straight up espresso with a dash of milk can enjoy coffee. I think anybody can enjoy coffee, even if you need to load it with sugar, you know? I mean, that can be the start of someone's journey to working their way up and liking stronger coffee and trying more traditional coffee beverages. But I think that we should be welcoming people into the coffee world and not pushing them away and saying that their way is wrong. Because if we do that, then they're just going to go to Starbucks. And I don't think any of us want that. And of course, I opened a coffee shop because of my love of coffee. I have coffee knowledge. I know about coffee. I know how to do it the right way. But I'm also running a business. I'm working in my career. I'm trying to support myself and my family. And I'm not going to turn away a paying customer because the drink they want was invented by Starbucks. I'm not going to do that, because you know what? I am so excited that they chose me over Starbucks to give them the drink that they want. I can't see it any other way than that. So my next example is a traditional Americano versus a Washington style Americano. It's new to me. I've never seen anyone around here order it, but there's nothing wrong with it. I see the appeal of it. So traditional Americano is espresso and hot water, or of course you can do ice, and it would be espresso and cold water and ice. And then you can add cream or milk of your choice if you want. A Washington style Americano is going to be a lot of ice, espresso. So you stir your espresso in with the ice, and I guess the idea and how it gets the name Americano is because when you stir it, then the hot espresso is going to melt some of the ice, making some water. But then you're going to fill it the rest of the way with your choice of milk or cream, usually cream. It probably needs more ice than this, but then you stir it. And again, this is definitely more reminiscent of a latte or a breve latte, since you're doing half and half instead of milk. So again, there's nothing wrong with it, and if this is what the customer wants, I would happily make it. But I have seen people post, I hate when people put water in my Americano. And by definition, an Americano is espresso and water. And I did not know what a Washington Americano was until a few days ago. Now, it may over time become more standard, kind of like the caramel macchiato. You know, if someone asked for an iced macchiato the day after the iced caramel macchiato was invented, most small local coffee shops would have had no idea what they were talking about. But now, it's pretty standard, and most people know. And it may become the same way with this. Right now, we're not really there. If somebody asks me for an iced Americano, I'm going to make it with espresso, water, and a splash of their milk or cream of choice. If it is something you want, I do think you need to know what goes in it so that you can be specific about how to make the drink, especially if the barista doesn't already know. So my whole point in making this video is basically just to say, if your whole reasoning behind not giving a customer what they want is because it's not traditional or because Starbucks invented it, I don't think that's a good enough reason. I think innovation is okay. Coffee culture has changed, and that is also okay. There's place for tradition. There is room for your craft. Making the customer feel excluded is not the solution, because if you can't give the customer what they want, they will find a place that will, and that place might just be Starbucks. And again, none of us want that. As long as you have the supplies on hand to make the product, and you can do it safely and in a reasonable amount of time, and it's not just going to like put you out, I don't think that there's any reason not to do what the customer wants. I think that in general, that's good business practice. That's a good way to make the customer happy and grow your business, but it's also a good human to human practice, because coffee was not ever meant to be exclusive. It was meant to be shared. And I don't think that as baristas or as coffee shop owners, we need to be making our customers feel like their way of drinking coffee isn't good enough, or that their order is embarrassing. I don't think that that's okay. So if you own a coffee shop or if you're a barista, I encourage you to treat your customers kindly and do everything that you can within reason to accommodate their request. Unless it's something ridiculous and obnoxious and you just literally cannot do it, I think it is always the best case scenario to make your customers happy. It will give you good reviews. It will help you grow your business. At the end of the day, we are all trying to share a love of coffee with people. We're trying to grow our business. We're trying to support our families and our careers. And I don't think that we do that by excluding people. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and stay groovy.